Welcome into Texans Today, everybody. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and coming up on today's show, a little Texans mailbag. And I usually do these on our live shows. We go live usually on Wednesdays. Didn't go live this past week because of Thanksgiving, but when we do, Wednesdays at 3:30 Central Time. But all these questions are from our subscribers who send it in our community tab. Make sure you're in tune with everything going on at Texans Today. Watch our videos also in the community tab. And if you want more mailbags, like the video. If we get 500 likes on this video, we're going to do another mailbag next week. Gesundheit, my producer, Will Ortner, just sneezed very loudly all over the computer. So, Brett, if you're watching, I'll make sure that he cleans up all of that spew that he just happened behind the scenes. Without further ado, let's get into our first question on today's show. Oscar from the 713 says, would you rather the Texans win the division but have to play Buffalo or Kansas City first round, or be a wild card team and play like Denver or Indy? I mean, I'm always going to say win the division because then you get a home game, right? If you win the division, I'd rather do that, and even if you do have to play the Colts or the Kansas City Chiefs rather than maybe the Denver Broncos, I like our chances at home. And you know, I know you're saying, oh, would you rather play the Chiefs or would you rather play the Broncos? I mean, we're going to play them both this year, so I guess we'll see how we fare up against both of those different squads. But either way, I'd still rather the Texans win the division and get a home game and three-peat as AFC South champs if I was given that option. Next up, Houston Texans fan. Is the O-line better than last year in pass protection and in run blocking? I'll say this, they are definitely better in terms of penalties. Last year, it was an absolute shit show with the amount of false starts, holds, ineligible man downfield, this, that, and the other. I felt like every single play, it was another flag on this Texans offensive line, and yet, they're not, the top 15 unit, the top half of the league unit that we were all hoping they would be this year, and I do think they are improved in their pass protection. I think overall, the skill level on this offensive line, maybe not at the same as this Texans team last year, but overall, something big with offensive line is continuity, right? You can have one good left tackle and the rest of your line, it sucks. You're not going to have a good offensive line. They need to be able to communicate with one another, pick up those stunts, be able to pass off blocks to the next guy over. And if you don't have good communication and continuity up front, you're not going to have that. And I think that's what this Texans offensive line has this year that they didn't necessarily have last year along the front five. So pass blocking, run blocking, around the same as they were last year. And that's not what you want. Obviously, you want to be, we're much better than we were last year. But I think the big thing is the communication up front. And they've improved week after week after week. And hopefully they can open up some more running lanes as the year goes on. What do you say, though? Is the offensive line better or worse from last year? Give me a B for better, a W for worse, or if you think it's the exact same, type those S's down below. I'm interested to see what y'all have to say on this as we are more than halfway through the season already. Like I said, at least we don't have as many penalties as we did last year along the offensive line. Next up, Harrison Diggs. If the Texans miss the playoffs, will Nick Caley be fired? Or do you think they give him one more year? It's a good question, and I think this is a two-part question, right? If the Texans don't make the playoffs, how close were they? Like, were they one game away? Was it week 18 and they didn't end up beating the Colts? Or, like, were they one game out of making the playoffs? Like, what are the circumstances that come along with that? And then, two, who's available? Like, who would – we always want to say, get rid of this guy. This guy sucks. This guy's the worst. But you have to have a plan after that, right? You can't just get rid of Nick Caley and then say, okay, well, we'll figure it out. I think the only way they get rid of Nick Caley is if, I don't know, like a Mike McDaniel or like a high-profile OC that's proven is in line to take the job over. I don't think they fire Nick Caley and do another search. If they fire Nick Caley, they have somebody in mind and they already have somebody lined up to be the next OC. That's the only way I see them moving on from Nick Caley this offseason. And obviously, if they make the playoffs, he's good to go for next year. Good question, though, Harrison Diggs. Next up, Eric Bishop. Will we make the division or make the playoffs with so many question marks surrounding this team? Like defensively, We give up 7 yards per carry to quarterbacks. We have the worst red zone offense in the league, and we haven't been able to beat good teams on the road, etc. I mean, all valid points, Eric. I will say to a couple of these. Defensively, giving up 7 yards per carry to quarterbacks. I think that's a big proponent of this Texans defensive line is getting after it. They are making quarterbacks get out of the pocket, and the protection, has kind of broken down to where quarterbacks have to run. They have to scramble and pick up those yards. So I think that's a little bit of a skewed stat right there. The red zone offense, we are 31st in the NFL, and you are dead on the money on that, Eric Bishop. If we want to do anything in the playoffs, we got to score in the red zone. Like, you're not going to be able to win games in the playoffs if you can't score 7 and you're settling for 3, getting the ball all the way down to the 2-yard line or turning it over at the opposing team's 1-yard line. You can't do that and win games in the NFL. And then beating good teams on the road, I mean, it's tough, but that comes with the, territory of winning the division last year, right? If you are number 1, if you win your division the next season, you're going to play a first overall schedule. You're going to play the tougher teams. You're not going to get the cupcake schedule. You're going to have to play the toughest teams in the NFL. That's why the Texans started off the year playing up against the Rams, playing up against the Bucks. We had to play the tougher opponents because we won the division the year prior. Now, I think this Texans team has showed a lot of fight, showed a lot of grit, and that is one thing I'll hang my hat on. Regardless of how this team has played this year, regardless of how the season's gone, they have not once quit on this fan base, on this city, on this franchise for D'Amico Ryans. Not once. So, regardless of all the things that are wrong, and you can kind of put a list together for every team in the NFL. There's not one dominant team in the NFL, in my opinion, this year that doesn't have their flaws. I mean, obviously, there's some right there for the Texans, but they can fix some of those things, kind of change it as the year goes on. I don't think it's crazy at all to say the Texans can make a little bit of a playoff run on the back half of this season. You know what else isn't crazy? Getting started with our sponsor, Cash App. I love it, and it's always fun whenever you get a new sponsor that you actually use on a weekly basis, like Cash App. Get started today with our friends over at Cash App, and I want to know, what's the craziest or weirdest scam that's tried to reach you? Has somebody, called you about your extended warranty yet? Has somebody, tried to call you and, get your bank information? Is there a common scam happening to you now, or maybe a close friend or family member that have run into? Well, the holidays are all about finding the perfect gift, but this time of year, not every deal is actually what it seems. Scammers are getting more creative to trick people into sharing their payment info through methods like fake shopping sites and giveaways that are too good to be true. Luckily, Cash App's 24/7 fraud monitoring helps detect and alert your unusual card activity should someone gain access to your card. So you can act fast if something seems off. You can also lock or unlock your Cash App card instantly right in the app for extra control and peace of mind. Stay one step ahead of scams this season and keep your money secure with Cash App. For a limited time only, new Cash App customers can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash. For real, just download Cash App, use our exclusive referral code, SECURE10 in your profile, send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. Cash App is a financial service platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners, prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC, promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. One more time, visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. All right, next up, Gag Trader. Ortner did kind of give me a look on this one as well. I believe it was like gardening something. Either way, shout out to Gag Trader. Why don't we use Jalen Knoll in the offense? That's an excellent question. As we look at his snap counts on offense, I don't think he's being used nearly enough for how explosive of a player he can be. I mean, over the past couple of weeks, yes, he's gotten a little bit more run, but overall, I don't think we've seen him really get more than 40, 50% of the offensive snaps on any given Sunday. So, yes, they're using him more as a primarily like punt returner, gadget type of guy, but I think we could definitely use him more and more as the season goes on. I know this offensive coaching staff, they like Christian Kirk, and that's where the problem lies, in that Knoll and Kirk basically run the same role. They're the same offensive weapon kind of skill set that they both share. Why not play the rookie Jalen Knoll? I know Christian Kirk is good, but he's a free agent after this year. Let's build up our rookies. I want to see Jalen Noel get more and more playing time as the year goes on as well. Loki, you're up next. If you were the GM, how much would you be willing to give CJ and Will Anderson? Good question. I said it earlier in the week. I am backing up the Brinks truck for Will Anderson Jr. I am going to go ahead and put it out there that I think he's going to get big money this offseason. But let's look at the highest paid quarterbacks and edge rushers on a per year basis as we stand right now. Dak Prescott sits at number one, $60 million on a per year basis. And then a four-way tie at second place. Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Jordan Love, and Trevor Lawrence? Huh? Yeah, he's tied for second in the NFL in terms of highest paid quarterbacks on a per year basis. And then you got Tua, Brock Purdy, Jared Goff. I think if you're CJ Stroud and if you're this Texans organization, you're going to make it a five-way tie, right? Or maybe you're going to give him a little bit more than Josh Allen. I don't think there's a world where CJ Stroud doesn't become at least the second highest paid quarterback in the NFL when his contract is due. In terms of Will Anderson, though, he's going to be the highest paid edge rusher. He will 1,000% be the highest paid edge rusher in the NFL. And I'm actually just now realizing this list, I made this list before Aiden Hutchinson got his deal. He got right under Micah Parsons with his new deal with the Detroit Lions. I think Will Anderson Jr. is going to top that Micah Parsons deal. Now, it'll be more of a nod from the Texans front office. I think he probably gets $47.1 million on a per year basis, but they are going to ensure that Will Anderson Jr. stays a Houston Texan, and I think he will be the highest paid edge rusher on a per year basis. What say you, though? Who do you think gets paid first? I think it's Will Anderson, so I'm typing my 51s, but let me know. Who do you think gets paid first? Is it Will Anderson Jr., type 51, or is it C.J. Stroud? Type those sevens down below in the comment section. Next up, Stingley NFL. Biggest free agent signing we've made that you had super high hopes for that just never worked out besides Brock Osweiler. In terms of trades, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, I was very high on him, and I mean, I'm looking at our Bears host right now walking with his cup and his Bears jacket. C.J. Gardner-Johnson's played well for them. And, obviously he couldn't do it with the Houston Texans. I was very disappointed with how that ended up. Looking back, going in my time machine, Ed Reed, just Texans with these safeties. It's not a great track record. Ed Reed was horrible with the Houston Texans. And Amon Green was awesome with the Green Bay Packers and absolutely crumbled as soon as he signed his deal with the Houston Texans. This is how bad Amon Green was. And Harry, you'll appreciate this as a big college football guy. You know who was the leading rusher when the Texans had Amon Green? Ron Dane. Ron Dane was the leading rusher whenever the Texans had Amon Green. A huge upset with that one. Let's go to the next question with Chris Rolfe. What position changes would you like to see, whether it comes from trades or draft picks? Not trying to put all the hate on Jake Andrews, but I would really like to see a new center in Houston. It is a underrated position throughout the NFL, is that center position. But they're really kind of the quarterback of the offensive line. More often than not, they're IDing the mic. They're IDing the defensive front. And a lot of times, especially on run plays, whoever they call out and whoever, they're going ahead and blocking, that determines who the other guys block on the offensive line, right? Like if the center and picks out the defensive tackle and he says, me and the guard are taking him up to the next level to that linebacker, well then usually the guard has the other defensive tackle or, defensive lineman, and the tackles go into suit past that. I think a center is probably one of the biggest spots that I would like. And then, Woody Marks is good. Nick Chubb is good. I don't think Joe Mixon returns next season, so I wouldn't mind looking at another running back in the draft. I think, you should probably draft a running back every couple years, and if the Texans are able to get a good one in the third or fourth round in this next year's draft, why not add him to the backfield with Woody Marks? On the defensive side, I think you need more help in the secondary in terms of depth. Really good starters, right? I think the starting positions, you have clear. Maybe Jalen Reed's the starter next year for the Texans. The rookie from Penn State has played really well for Houston, but you need more depth. You continually have to sign guys off the practice squad, have to, make these mid-season acquisitions of these lower-tier guys to add depth to the secondary, I think that's another position group that the Texans could definitely look to add this offseason. That's all I have for you on today's show, folks. Make sure to hit me up on Twitter if you have any more questions. You can follow me at Jeremy Chuggs. And if you made it to the end of today's show, hit that subscribe button for daily Texans content all year long.